Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the show. I'm going to bring my next guest out now, and it's a kind of a change of mood here because she stars and she gives an exceptional performance as Winnie Mandela in one of the year's most powerful films. The film is called Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. Before she comes out, I'll show you a little bit of it. Here it is. Will you please welcome Naomie Harris, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely outfit. Lovely to meet you. You want to sit down? You sit down there. I'll sit down there. Okay, I watched the film last night and I found it very powerful, very moving. Of course, an incredible story, an incredible man. And in a way, I think the film has been made all the more kind of, given more impact and made more kind of moving by his death.
Yeah. Of
course, just as the movie was being premiered around the world. Do you know, did he get to see the finished film?
He never got to see the finished film, actually. But he did see a clip, and he actually saw a clip of Idris walking through the field with the kids running, which is one of the last shots of the movie, and he thought it was himself.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, Idris does such a brilliant job.
It's a stunning performance by him, and it is also a stunning performance from you in a role which I think it's a harder role for us to warm to, of course, because she, I mean, he's obviously someone who achieved great things. She was someone who was by his side for some of that, figurative at least, and yet she was a more complicated person and involved in some things which are perhaps harder to justify.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did it make it harder for you to play someone as complex as that?
You know, as an actor, what you want is a challenge, you know, and you want a character that's really complex. And Winnie, for me, is the most complex character I've ever been asked to play. She's like 7 different people in one, and her transition in the movie is extraordinary. You know, she goes from being this naive, really unpolitical young woman at 21 when she meets Mandela to being this kind of warrior figure by the end, leading a movement, you know, because effectively what was happening during apartheid was it was warfare, you know, and she was really at the front lines of that, leading a movement. Yeah. So to be able to go through all those transitions was it was great for me, actually.
And you met her?
I did, yeah.
So was that intimidating? How was that for you?
Oh, it was hugely intimidating. You know, I was absolutely terrified about meeting her because I'd read so much about her at that stage, and she is just such a kind of formidable woman, and I didn't know how she was going to react to me as well. You know, I didn't know whether she was happy about me being cast or how she felt about, you know, herself being portrayed in the movie, but she was incredibly generous.
And what did she say after the film was finished? What did she say about your performance afterwards?
Well, I met her in South Africa again when we had the South African premiere, and she was in the audience with her daughter, Zinzi, and lots of the Mandela family, and she was actually crying. And she said that was the first time she felt her story had been captured on film.
Thank God, it wasn't just because it was a bad performance. I mean, that would have been well, I hope people go and see the film. It's the kind of movie where you might not necessarily think you are in the right mood for. You know, I don't mean that to be critical, but you think, oh, do I want to go and see the film? And I watched it, and I was so pleased I watched it, and I found it very emotional at times, especially when he, you know, he knows at the beginning of this terrible jail sentence he's been handed unfairly, that he's not going to see his family or his daughters for so many years. And the moment when he first sees them and his son, of course, it's very, very moving.
But you're right, it is really moving and it's really harrowing, but it's also really uplifting, and that's one of the things that people come away from the movie. They feel like really uplifted and inspired by it rather than being kind of traumatized by the whole thing.
Yeah, it is inspiring. And to see someone who makes that choice at the time when Mandela had the opportunity to make other choices that wouldn't have been perhaps as beneficial for the country, quite a remarkable human being, really. Let's talk about another film you made a few years, well, I think last year, the Bond movie, because you're now a Bond woman. We don't call them Bond girls anymore, do we? This is some sort of rebranding that's going on for the modern age. But you're the new Moneypenny.
I am indeed, yes. It is fantastic.
How is it making a Bond movie? I imagine very different to making a film like Road to Freedom.
Oh, completely different, completely different. You know, it's like making Bond was a laugh, and, you know, you didn't feel a sense of pressure, you know, it was just fun. And working with Sam Mendes, he was extraordinary as well, so it was great fun.
How do you get on with Daniel? Because Daniel can be quite grumpy. He can be quite grumpy.
He is not. That's so untrue.
But he just looks grumpy all the time, doesn't he? He looks a bit like, kind of like Alan Sugar on a bad day sometimes. You get what I mean?
Wow, it's just his facade, because he's actually got a great sense of humour.
You had to shave him in the film as well?
I did.
Okay, now was that a real cutthroat razor you were using in that scene?
Unfortunately not, but I did actually get trained. I spent months in training to be able to do that. And I practiced on members of the crew. First of all, I had balloons, and then members of the crew would come in and I practiced on them. So I was actually very skilled. kids
you're
by the
pretty
time
good.
it got to that scene,
okay.
but they wouldn't let me, you know.
Do you
have a
have,
real
is there a man in your life at the moment?
What? Where did that come from?
Do you shave? Well, I wonder whether you shave, if there's a man in your life, whether you shave the man in your life.
No, I don't shave any men.
Okay, because because my back needs doing, that's what I'm saying. Now, your mum is from Jamaica, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so when you made, and I don't know how many people you were in, was it the second of the Pirate of the Caribbean movies?
The second and the third.
And the third,
yes.
where you played the kind of weird, scary witch woman who grows giant at one stage, and you look fabulous. I love the way they made you look at that. But you do the kind of Jamaican accent, don't you? So did you speak that growing up, or did your mum teach you that for the film?
My mum was actually the accent coach.
Wow.
Yeah, for the movie, yeah.
So how would one earlier on, Paddy was very uncomplimentary about my accents. How would you, to speak Jamaican, are there kind of easy, like, things you can learn, like vowel sounds or stuff like that? If I wanted to say a phrase in Jamaican, like...
Yeah, but it depends who you want to be. Like, if you want to be like Tia Dalma, then she's kind of, you know, Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow. Okay, so Jack Sparrow.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
Wow! I could learn a few things from you.
Oh, yes. Is that at all?
That is impressive.
Well, you see, I grew up in Leytonstone. That's what it is. Okay. Well, I will be your coach next time you want to...
I'm going to call you.
Can you imagine that if you turned off film and said, I've got my Jamaican language coach and I came in? Morning, everyone. Babylon and Ting. Okay, let's go. You know, we've been joking around here, but I do want to say again how much I enjoyed the film and how much I didn't know whether I would. I mean, because you kind of know the story, and I know that isn't the be-all and end-all, but you kind of know the story. But to go in and see it brought to life so vividly and so movingly, I thought was quite an achievement for everyone involved. So congratulations to you and everyone else, and I hope it gets the kind of attention and maybe the awards that it deserves.
Thank you.
It really is a tremendous movie. Thank you for being here. Naomie Harris, ladies and gentlemen. I really thought it was really a wonderful piece of work. Naomie Harris, ladies and gentlemen. After the break, Jamie Cullum will be out here. He'll be chatting and he'll be singing, so don't go away. It's going to be great. See you in a minute.